Hey, Trail Kreitzer at goHUNT.com. Antelope hunting is my favorite, and for 2020 I've got an antelope tag, Archery Antelope tag in Wyoming. It's a tag that I've wanted to draw for a bunch of years, and this year I was able to split my points with an intern here. She's never been on an antelope hunt, and so intern Jillian and I are going to go on an antelope hunt in Wyoming. So today I want to run you through my gear list for 2020. Some new additions, some of the old stuff that I'm still using. You know, if good gear works for you, just stick with it, but I have updated some new stuff. And I want to run through my entire gear list and kind of talk you through what I would choose for an antelope hunt. I'm going to start at this end of the table and work through my clothing system first. This is going to be a hot weather hunt. So I think we're going to go up about the 25th of August. So it's going to be pretty hot there in northern Wyoming. We're hunting low country. There's not a lot of cover. Spent some time in that country looking around. So it's going to be hot. I'm wearing Sitka again. Works great. This hat here is one of my favorite hats for hot weather. This is the Sitka Ascent hat. I like it because you've got some mesh sides here that breathe really well. You've got a drawstring in the back. This thing is super lightweight. If you guys are runners, for those of you that might be runners out there, you can buy like runners caps. This is very similar to those types of caps. They breathe really well. Another hat that I'm going to take with me that I always have is this Sitka sun hat. It's also vented at the sides. You've got these mesh panels that breathes really well, provides you some relief from the sun during midday. We're going to do some spot and stock hunting. We'll probably also do some blind hunting. So for blind hunting, I have brought a Sitka Core lightweight hoodie in black. This would be my base layer. If I decide to end up sitting in a blind on a water hole, this is a great piece. Nice and dark against the black part of the blind. Another shirt that I really like for hot weather hunting is the Sitka Ascent shirt. This is like all of their Sitka Ascent line or products. They breathe really well. They're really lightweight. This thing is like featherweight. I don't know how much it weighs, but it's super light. It's got breathable side panels along the side, which is nice, especially here in the armpit. It's got quarter zip here in the front, so if you need to dump heat, you can do that with the chest. You also have a couple of zip pockets in the front on the chest that are nice if you need to store gear and keep anything at hand. But that Sitka Ascent shirt is a great base layer for really hot weather hunting. You know, I do have a Sitka Core lightweight hoodie in camouflage as well for spot and stock hunting. It'll depend. One thing I really like about this shirt is it's got the built-in face mask, which is nice. For spot and stock, you just simply pop the hood up. You can pull that up and over your face. This part tucks into the front here, which is great. You don't have to worry about carrying a face mask or camouflaging your face. That pops up really easy, which is a nice feature of that Sitka Core lightweight hoodie. Base layer underwear. This is the Sitka Silk Boxer, silk weight, so it's just a poly boxer, nice and breathable, really lightweight. Wear those all the time. For pants, I'll end up wearing the Sitka Ascent pant. This is the lightest weight pant in the Sitka line. One great thing I really like about Sitka's lineup of pants is that they also make regular length and tall length. So these are the tall, so 34-inch inseam. You also have the opportunity to add a knee pad, which is a great little feature of this Sitka Ascent pant. So this is a knee pad that I pulled out of one of the pant legs just to kind of show you what it looks like. I would highly recommend you use a knee pad for spot and stock antelope hunting. If there's cactuses, any kind of brush or debris that's going to bug your knees, sometimes you may end up kneeling for a really long time or crawling on your hands and knees, and this is a great little feature for this Sitka Ascent pants, as you just pop those in and out. For a jacket, I probably won't need a jacket all that much, but I threw in this Sitka Kelvin hoodie, active hoodie. So not the down hoodie, but this is the active jacket. It's got the quarter zip, it's got a chest pocket, it's got cap sleeve, which is nice, just for early morning glassing if it does get cool. It's got this raised fleece, it's kind of a micro fleece backing, which gives it a little bit of loft. This jacket dries extremely well and quick, so if you do wet it out, either from sweat or from rain, I mean, you can basically wear this thing dry. It does have a hood, which is nice. I always like a hood in any jacket that I have. For a rain jacket, I'll probably just throw in this Sitka Flash hoodie, flash jacket, which is basically just a light weather jacket. It's got a DWR treated exterior. It's going to shed water really well. It also has some wind stoppers, so it'll give you some protection from the wind if the wind's blowing really hard. Also has a chest pocket, which is nice. Nice built-in hood. This is probably the only rain jacket that I will need on a hunt like this. For a belt, I've just got the Sitka Climber belt. It's just the old style, not one of the new ones, but it's just a simple basic webbing belt. For socks, I'm wearing a Darn Tough cushion sock. This is from their hike line. We'll have these here in the gear shop. We have Darn Tough's Hunt line socks. This would be similar to the 2011 sock if you're familiar with those. But this is just a green version of that same sock essentially. But Darn Tough socks are my favorite. Really smooth on your feet. I don't ever get hot spots or blisters. Good cushion in them, and they breathe really well. So those are my favorite socks. Shoes. I've actually got my shoe on that I'm going to end up wearing. Nice and bright. This is the Salewa Drop Line. This is just like a lightweight hiking shoe. The sole is pretty flexible. I'd give it maybe like a 2 on the flex rating if you're looking at our flex and our shoes in the gear shop. It's just a really nice lightweight running shoe. In conjunction with those, I'm gonna end up wearing the Sitka Flash Gator. That's just to keep any debris out of my shoes. These are nice because they're lightweight, they're low cut, they just go around the base of the shoe, cinch up around your pant leg so that you're gonna, basically keep any debris out of your shoes, which is a nice little feature of those Gators. Why did I go with a running shoe or a lightweight hiker over a traditional boot? Basically just because of the type of the country that we're hunting in. It's relatively flat, low rolling sage and grassland. I don't need a heavy hiking boot. I need something fast and light that I can cover a bunch of ground in. Something that's gonna give me a lot of cushion, and my feet are gonna feel better at the end of the day when I'm covering a whole bunch of miles in a shoe like this. So next I'm gonna talk about some of the gear I'm gonna take on my antelope hunt. I already touched on the hunting blind. A lot of people don't like hunting on in a blind for antelope on a water hole. I actually really like it. It takes patience and it's hot. You gotta grind it out in a blind, and I typically sit from dark to dark. I think it's a great way if you were trying to target a specific buck. I think it's one of the best ways to try to kill that buck because antelope are dependent on water. They're pretty habitual and they come into the same exact water hole often. So if you can find the water hole that a buck you're wanting to kill is using, it's a great chance, gives you a great opportunity to kill a buck. The other thing I really like about blind hunting is that it's a much more controlled situation. So you typically know the distance, you typically have time to see the antelope come in and prepare yourself, kind of get those nerves settled down a little bit. You're able to make a good ethical shot. This is the Zenic ground blind. They actually just came out with a new one this year with a new camo pattern, which I think is even probably better for antelope hunting. But I've had this one for probably 5 years. That's my favorite blind. It's really well built. I would say even maybe over-engineered. It can stand up to the wind. You don't get like the hubs shrinking in and collapsing in the wind like you do on some other blinds. The other thing I like about that blind is the interior portion of that is blacked out, and it doesn't scratch or scuff like some of the other ones do. It stays really dark inside that blind, which is great for concealing you when you're inside it from any movement. Moving into my backpack, this is a Stone Glacier X Curve frame with a Sky 5900 bag without the top lid. This is kind of running it in what they call bivvy mode. It's probably overkill for this type of hunt where you're mostly just day hunting spot and stock. You may pick up like a Kiowa would be a great choice, which is like 3,200 cubic inches. The Solo 3600 would be another really killer option for spot and stock antelope hunting. But this is what I've got and what I'm gonna end up using. One thing I really like about this bag is that you've got the front zip pocket, which is great for stashing anything that you need at hand. So spotting scope, if you need it quickly, rain gear, kill kit, any of that kind of gear that you need at hand very quickly goes here in the front pocket. The Stone Glacier pack and I have been through a lot, so hopefully this year it brings me more good luck. Moving more over into like my camping gear, we'll probably set up a base camp. So for that, where there's gonna be Jill and I, we'll end up using the Seek Outside Red Cliff. I've just got it in an OR dry bag here. The Red Cliff is big enough for, I would say, 4 to 6 people without a stove. We won't need a stove. For 2 of us, we'll have plenty of room. We'll end up using some cots inside that. which is just like your simple pop-up cot that you could buy at any, convenience store like Walmart or anything like that. The one thing I really like about the Red Cliff is that you've got standing room, so 6'10" at the center of that, which is great. So if you want to get up in the morning, move around a little bit, get your gear together, it's got plenty of room for all your equipment and gear. The other thing I like about the Red Cliff is you've got 2 doors, so it's nice because you both have your own entrances, and you can also open it up and you get maximum breathability and airflow early in the season. So that's what I really like about the Red Cliff, and that's probably what we'll end up using is the Red Cliff with a couple of cots. Sleeping pad. I mean, you could get like a big plush sleeping pad if you wanted to. I'm a pretty simple guy. I use a lot of the same equipment regardless of whether I'm hunting front country, for a day hunt on an antelope hunt, or if I'm, backcountry hunting for elk. The sleeping pad I'll end up taking is just this Big Agnes Axle Air. So this is a super lightweight pad, but it is 3.5 inches thick, which is great because it sleeps really well, really comfortable. Pillow, so this is the Sea to Summit Aeros ultralight pillow. It's 2.5 ounces, weighs next to nothing. This one looks like it could use a good wash. It's probably still a little manky from elk hunting last year with Chris Neville, my man. For a sleeping bag, again, it's gonna be warm weather. I will be using a quilt. This is a Enlightened Equipment Enigma quilt, which you can see is open at the back. It's got some straps here that if you want to put that under a sleeping pad, you can, that just clip like this. Obviously open at the top, closed foot box. This sleeping bag is rated to 10 degrees. I don't think personally that it sleeps that warm. That would be oodles for what I'm doing. I think it's probably, better suited for, maybe in the 30-degree range, which obviously I probably won't even see temperatures like that. The thing I like about a quilt for this type of hunt is that I can basically open that up and use it like a blanket. It's warm when I need it, and I can basically peel that open if it gets warm, which it will be. All right, for water and hydration, I always carry a Nalgene bottle, a little goHUNT Nalgene. For this hunt, I probably will also carry a water bladder in my backpack, so probably something like a platypus, big mouth, zip, 2-liter or 3-liter water bladder. I had one at home today when I got ready to bring all my gear in. It was looking pretty manky, pretty gross, so I actually need to clean that out. We sell a cleaning kit in the gear shop, so that's another little added piece of equipment that I would suggest you add to your gear list. Take care of your bladders and clean them out before you go hunting. You don't want to get sick when you get there. So along with my water, my hydration kit, this is just something that I carry with me all the time. It doesn't weigh anything. This is this Roving Blue ozone pen. So it's just a water purifier. Basically what you do is you unscrew the cap, touch the button, wave it around in your water until the light goes off. And as you watch that in your water, you can see the ozone kind of coming out from the end of the pen. It actually purifies water. That's a great little piece to have just in case you need to purify water in a pinch. We'll probably just be packing water, from camp, but this is a great little pen to have just in case you need it as backup for an emergency. All right, moving into some of my gear that's gonna go in my backpack. This is a set of Caribou Gear Carnivore 3 High Country game bag set. Game bags are important for antelope. Typically, if you talk to somebody that's been either eaten antelope or been on an antelope hunt and then got home and tried to prepare that antelope and did not like the taste of the meat, it's typically, in my opinion, a product of how they took care of the antelope in the field. So it's hot when you're hunting antelope, and the sooner you can take care of the meat and the cleaner the meat is, the better the antelope is gonna eat. Personally, I would say the antelope's one of the better eating game animals. I actually love the taste of antelope. But like I said, again, it all depends on how you take care of it. So this Carnivore High Country game bag set comes with 4 bags that I would use for quarter bags essentially, and then another bag which I would use for loose meat, so rib meat, neck meat, any kind of loose meat that you want. Great thing about antelope is they're not all that big. I've seen people pack them out whole. For me, I can tell you that my favorite process is to get the hide off as quick as I can, get them off the animal and get them to start to cool. The other really important thing to taking care of antelope, in my opinion, is to keep the hair off. So if you keep the hair off the meat, pick it, clean it off. It may take you some time in the field to really take care of that meat and make sure that you don't get any hair on it. But I can promise you that if you do take care of it and you take the time in the field, it's going to eat a whole lot better when you get it home. Another really important thing about antelope hunting is getting it on ice, that meat on ice as soon as you can. So we'll be carrying a couple of Yeti 120 coolers, the big coolers, so that we can get any kind of meat on ice as soon as possible. And I promise you, if you take care of antelope, it's going to eat really well. It'll be one of your favorite meats, to be honest. So for this hunt, I'll end up using my phone with our brand new goHUNT maps, which is a great little feature, added value to your goHUNT Inside membership. Land ownership is super important when you're hunting antelope, especially in Wyoming. It's one of the limiting factors, I would say, to being able to find a good unit. And the number of points it takes to draw any given unit is almost directly tied to the amount of public land in an area. There's all kinds of areas that you can hunt if you have the ability to use goHUNT maps and a land ownership layer to navigate that terrain. I'm lucky in that this unit that we drew is almost entirely public land, BLM, but I'll end up using goHUNT maps on my phone all the time to mark water holes, mark animals. Any kind of mapping work that I need to do, I can do exactly on my phone, which is great. In addition to that, I'm always going to carry a phone cam, which is a little spotting scope adapter. Simply screws onto this little adapter on the back of my phone. This is a great little piece from Tines Up. You can actually adjust that. You can screw that to adjust to any size of spotting scope. So that's like a universal adapter. Great little piece that goes across a bunch of different optics. It works with everything. GPS, I always carry a GPS with me in addition to my phone. This is just a Garmin eTrex 20X. This is simply just for backup. So if my phone bites the dust or my battery dies or something like that, I always have a GPS for a backup. That's just a Garmin 20X, which is great. I always carry a Leatherman with me. So this is a Leatherman Signal. It's a great little multi-tool. You got a peg pounder if you need it. You got a knife, a saw blade, you've got a little sharpener, some needle nose pliers, some wire cutters, you got a couple of screwdrivers, which is handy, bottle opener, so you can have a cold bud to celebrate when you're done. Hey, part of my food kit, it's just a combination. This is a Light My Fire, made by a company called Light My Fire, which is just a spoon and a fork combo. It's just plastic, no frills again. We have all kinds of utensils that you can buy for lightweight backpack hunting. For stove, I'm just gonna use a Jetboil. This is my old standard Jetboil that I've had forever. No frills. It just does everything that I need it to. You can actually store your fuel canister in it, which is great. It's got a little base, which is perfect, that pops out to hold it, which is handy. That way you can ensure that your stove doesn't tip over when you're trying to pour it. And then of course you just have the stove that screws on the bottom. And that's just your standard Jetboil that we have in the gear shop. Probably everybody has a Jetboil. For this type of hunt where it's mostly, low country, warm weather, I just need something that's no frills that I can boil water with. My diet when I'm hunting this type of hunt, it's going to be pretty similar to packing for an elk hunt. I'll probably pack everything for this hunt by the day, just so that I know I've got it. I'll probably still eat Mountain House or Peak Refuel at night, just because it's easy and it's simple. I'm a no frills kind of guy when it comes to hunting, like I said, regardless of whether I'm hunting antelope, day hunting, or if I'm hunting, elk 10 miles deep. Toothbrush, it's just a travel toothbrush. I always have that with me. Little tube of travel toothpaste. I always carry with me a Sharpie, so if I need to sign permits, if I need to leave a note for somebody, I can do that. I always carry some extra D-loop cord. That can serve for either a D-loop or for my drop-away rest, which is limb-driven. So I carry a chunk long enough to replace either, like I said, either a D-loop or that limb-driven rest. I do typically carry also a couple of Allen wrenches just to fix either a sight on my bow or a rest on my bow. So I always carry those. This is my little medical kit. So I've got some Band-Aids, some butterfly bandages, some ibuprofen. I've got some migraine medicine, some cold and flu. I've got some alcohol swabs, which are handy. I have a suture kit, which would be just an absolute last-ditch effort if I had a really bad cut. I always just keep that in there. I think I have a couple of heavy duty painkillers in there, just in case something really bad happened and I had to really take the edge off. So carry a couple of those. My fire starting kit, I don't know that I'll end up using it, but it's nice to have it just in case. So I've got 15 weatherproof matches. I've got maybe 5 or 6 wet fire cubes, which are those little fire starters. They'll start in anything. They'll burn in water, you know, in the rain. It doesn't matter. Those things will start, and you can start a fire if you need it. Again, probably not going to use those, but it's just something I always have in my kit. For a headlamp, I'll end up using a Black Diamond Storm headlamp. Just again, a really nice durable headlamp. I can replace the batteries in that, which I like. I do keep a backup headlamp in my kit, my kill kit typically, just in case I have an issue with my main headlamp. And this is a Petzl E-Light Plus, just a no frills little headlamp. Knives, moving on to knives and processing. So this is a little work sharp sharpener. You just have 2 sides, a ceramic side, and then a rougher metal side, which you use to kind of take the first edge and then fine tune it with the ceramic side. I carry that, and in conjunction with this little EC Azula knife. We used to carry these in the gear shop, and now Taito is actually making their own knives, which are the Fanon. I think they're at their 3rd edition of that little Fanon knife, which is a great little replacement for that. I just haven't updated it, but if I were buying now, I would highly suggest that little Taito Fanon. Taito has some great knives in the gear shop, so if you're looking for knives, check those out. Also the new goat knife that we just got in, the titanium goat, badass knife, so check that out. This is a Taito 1.1 knife. You can see that it's just kind of the skeletized version. It's basically just a stainless steel knife that accepts a number 60 or 60A Havalon replacement blade. It's nice to have a sharp knife anytime you need it. Again, you can replace those blades, which is great. It doesn't take many of those to do a full antelope, and I like those because they're super sharp. Antelope are not super thick skinned, they're relatively thin skinned. So this goes through it like hot butter. For keeping in touch, I always carry a Garmin inReach. This is the old school version, so this is the Garmin DeLorme inReach SE. They've since updated that. Garmin obviously owns DeLorme at this point, and you've got the Garmin inReach Explorer, the Garmin Mini, which is a great little addition, which is probably the one I would suggest if you're looking to get into a satellite messenger. And they also make the new Garmin 66i, which is both a functional GPS and a messenger, and you get aerial imagery. So you might want to check that one out if you're looking for a new GPS. I also typically carry with me a little battery charger just for the phone in case you're playing games and you're blind and you need a reboot or a boost for your phone. This is just a goZero Flip 20. I'll typically charge that up again every night and have it in my pack during the day in case I need to recharge my phone. This is a little goZero Crush Light, which is a handy little light to have in the tent. At night, you can hang that from the top. You can hit the button and you've got light inside your tent as you're getting your gear together and you're getting in bed or you're preparing your meal. It's a great little light. It also solar charges at the top, which is a nice feature because you don't have to worry about it. I always throw this in the truck. It's just a goZero Nomad 7 Plus solar panel. You get yourself in a pinch and you need a charge on your phone or anything else, you can just simply pop that open and charge either your battery pack or your phone, which is a great little feature. Doesn't weigh much, it's about a pound. Just gives you some peace of mind that you've got some power if you need it. The trail camera, I always have a trail camera in the truck. I might end up throwing that on a water hole just to see what's coming in some part of the unit while I'm hunting a different area. And I can always come back and check that just to see if there's any big bucks that are hitting that water hole. If that's the case, I may transition my focus into the area. We're gonna do a lot of spot and stock hunting and some decoy hunting. So this is a Montana pop-up decoy. My favorite part of doing these videos every year is when I pop this thing out. It scares the shh like that. So it's just a Montana antelope decoy. A lot of times I'm hunting on my own, so this can be pretty tough to hold and try to hold your bow and everything else that you've got when you're decoying. I'm actually looking forward this year to hunting with a partner where one of us can hold the decoy, the other one can be behind with their weapon, their bow, and ready to shoot. So like I said, this is just a Montana decoys pop-up antelope decoy. hoping to do a bunch of decoying and see how that works. I've used them in the past with moderate success. I'm thinking this year with 2 of us, I think we'll be that much more effective with using a decoy. Decoying, I mean, fast-paced action. If you can get a buck to commit and come into range, they typically come in fast, and the action can, you know, go from basically 0 to 100 just that quick. I always carry a trekking pole with me. I'll probably just stick that in the side of my pack. That's just in case I need a little added support on a pack out. I've got a bad right ankle, so I do like to have a third point of contact with the ground. So this is a Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork trekking pole. This is obviously an older edition. The new ones are a nice forest green color. This white one's a little bit shiny, but still my very favorite trekking pole. Moving over into my optics. So on my chest, I'll have a Outdoor Vision Ridgeline bino harness with the Outdoor Vision Sightline rangefinder pouch, which is a great little pouch. The thing I like about it is it's got the magnets that are built into the front and the back, so if you want that thing to stay open, it does, which is a great little feature because you're constantly pulling your rangefinder in and out. This little Ridgeline bino harness, I've talked a lot about it before. It's my favorite bino harness. You've got full coverage at the sides. You've got a built-in rain cover here in the bottom, which is handy. You've got a pocket on the front to store your tags or a little bit of medical kit or anything that you need. You've also got a couple of pockets for windicator. And one of the features I love about this binocular harness is that it is forward opening, and you do have the built-in magnets in the front, so it stays open when you want it to. It stays shut when you want it to. It's also got the magnets in the back, which is handy. It gives you one-handed access to your binoculars. You know, you don't have to open a lid and hold it while you put your binos back in. For binoculars, I'm using a pair of Leica Noctavid 10x42s. That's a staple around my neck. It's my favorite binocular. It's the one that I go to. Whether I'm hunting elk, I'm hunting mule deer, antelope, doesn't matter. That's my favorite binocular. For a rangefinder, I'm also using a Leica. So this is a Rangemaster 1000R. Obviously, this is a outdated model. I think the current one is a Rangemaster 2400. So they've gotten better technology, longer yardage. This does have the angle compensation, so it's nice. You know, if you have a downhill shot or an uphill shot, it will calculate the yardage and give you the true aiming point, which is great for a bow hunter. I do have a lanyard on here. Caribou Gear is making a great little lanyard that we have in the gear shop right now, which is a great addition to your rangefinder pouch and your rangefinder spotting scope and tripod setup. So for spotting scope, I'm still using and probably will be forever until something else just blows my mind. But this is a Swarovski 20x60x65 ATM spotting scope. This is not the HD. Unfortunately, I haven't updated to the HD version. This is kind of a no-frills, lightweight, packable spotting scope. I love this spotting scope because I get a full 60 power zoom, whereas a lot of the 65mm spotting scopes, you do not get that full zoom. And I love the fact that I do get it in this. It's really tough to beat Swarovski's optics. I mean, them and Leica are right at the tip top. I always get asked about my sweet spotting scope cover. You cannot get this in the goHUNT gear shop. You can take an old wool sock from your drawer, cut the end off of it, and thread that over your spotting scope, which is what I use for a spotting scope cover. It keeps the body of it free from dust and debris. You can pull this end over. It'll also keep your lens cap on it, which obviously I don't have right now. This one also you can pull up over the end, and it will also keep your lens cap on the eyepiece end. So once again, no frills. If you have an old wool sock, you can have yourself one of those. So for my tripod, once again, I'll be using the Siriu T1204XL tripod with a Vanguard PH21 head. The head's just a simple tilt pan. It does not have both, the horizontal and the vertical lock. You have one handle that controls both. Personally, I kind of prefer the ones that lock out both ways. So if you're looking for a new tripod head, the Siriu VA5 is a nice head. It's got both the locks for the tilt and pan. This one is great for panning and glassing. You have a lot of control. You can kind of see how much control I've got there. So it's great for that. It's really lightweight. This tripod, they actually don't make these legs anymore. They quit making them. The one thing I did like about these though is that for a tall guy, I'm 6'2", I can set this up and I can glass from a standing position, which I often do when I'm antelope hunting. Along with my binoculars and my tripod, I always have a little Leica Stable Light binocular adapter. It has a simple rubber strap that goes up and over your binoculars. It just clips in at the top with a base plate. You can pick up the base plates in the gear shop. The thing I like about this binocular adapter is that I can use it with a bunch of different binos. So a lot of times if I'm hunting antelope or if I'm hunting mule deer in really open country or coos deer, I may end up taking a pair of 15 power binoculars, so 15 by 56, like a Swarovski SLC 15 by 56. But the thing I like about this is that I can switch back and forth between my 10 by 42s or my SLC 15 by 56s very quickly. I don't have to attach anything permanently to my binoculars, which I like. I've often used this on rifle hunts as well as a rifle rest, which is great because you just throw the strap up and over it. But this is a great little binocular adapter. Finally, moving over to my bow and my weapon of choice. So this year I am hunting with a Mathews VXR 31.5, which is the shortest axle-to-axle bow that I've shot or hunted with, maybe ever. I didn't think I would ever shoot a bow that short, but I can tell you that having shot this bow for about a year now at this point, I'm in love with this bow. Like, I love this bow so much. Holds really, really well. That long riser is so steady and it really aims and holds fantastic. Really, I think if you get a chance, get into your local Mathews dealer and shoot a Mathews VXR 31 or even the 28. I think you'll be really impressed with this bow. The thing I like about the 31.5, like I said, is that it's got a long riser, but it's still relatively compact. So if you're hunting inside a blind, if you're spot and stock antelope hunting where you don't want a long bow to make a bunch of, any added movement, this bow is still relatively compact and it's going to work really well inside a blind or in spot and stock situations. But then you also, like I said, you have that added advantage of a really long riser, which holds and aims really, really well. You can see that my string combo is unique. I've been monkeying around with some different string combos from some different builders. I've been trying some different guys out just to see the different quality in strings, which is why you can see I've got one type of string and different cables. All right, so my strings, I often get asked, like, who made your strings? These strings are made by a company called Buck Slayer Bowstrings. It's one guy, his name's Shane, he's out of Ohio, makes a really nice set of strings. You can check him out if you're looking for a custom set of strings. This is just a 452X BCY material, which is probably the most steady, consistent string for bow hunting. Cables are made by another company that I've been trying out, a guy out of Michigan. This is Catfish Custom Bowstrings, so if you're looking for another set of strings, that's another guy that makes a really nice set. For stabilizers, I'm running Bee Stinger Micro Hex stabilizers. You can see that I am running both a front bar and a back bar. I am running a 10-inch back bar and a 15-inch front bar. 15 inches is pretty long for a stabilizer to hunt with, but once again, hunting in antelope country where it's really open, I'm not really worried too much about bumping my front stabilizer on any branches or anything like that. I don't have any issue using a really long bar in the front. The longer the bar, the more you put weight out away from your bow, typically the more steady that bow is going to hold and aim, which is why I really like this 15-inch front bar right now. I'm shooting 11 ounces of weight, Bee Stinger weights on the back and 4 on the front. I really like the way this bow holds and the way it's set up. For the back bar attachment, I'm using a Mathews Atlas bracket. Made for them by a company called Shrewd. So if you're looking for this, if Mathews is out of stock or you just want to shoot this on a different brand of bow, Shrewd makes this, and it's the Atlas back bar. I really like this little adjustment. It's got a built-in quick disconnect, which is nice. If you want to store this bow in your bow case, you simply unscrew that, pop this piece out, and you can store that in a bow case. On the front here, I've got a bee stinger 10-degree quick disconnect. It makes it really easy, like I said, to pop your stabilizers off and put them in a bow case. So the other thing that this 10-degree down disconnect gives me is that it tends to settle the bow quicker. So if you've shot a longer stabilizer with more weight out on the end, as you draw the bow, a lot of times you'll get some waggle in the front of your bow before it settles. That 10-degree down disconnect tends to take that waggle out of it and it settles a lot quicker. For a rest, I'm still shooting a Trophy Taker Smackdown Pro. This is an older model. If you ask me about this rest, they do not make it anymore. This comes with the pronghorn launcher. It also has a crash pad that's built into it. Trophy Taker, if you're out there listening, please make this rest again the way that you used to make it. Up front above my riser, you'll see I have a little arrow holder. You can buy those, they're about $5. I have mine epoxied to the shelf of my bow, which is a great little option to set your arrow in, and your arrow's not gonna tip off. If you're blind hunting, one of these is really great. It's a little kickstand essentially. So this one, you just turn and pop it underneath your limbs. We also have some in the gear shop made by Pine Ridge that simply fold up onto your limbs. You can actually shoot your bows with that on it and it won't impact your flight. Typically I just pulled mine out. It's really quiet. The inside of these are rubberized, so it is quiet, quick. You just twist it off and pull it out. This one's made by Matthews. They have a brand new one this year that actually is a 3-prong that goes on the front part of your riser and your limb cup here. So you might check that out as well. You can see that I removed the grip on my bow. I'm just shooting that off the riser and then I wrap it with tennis racket tape made by Gamma. So it's just a company that makes tennis racket tape. It's got a little bit of padding to it, which I like. I just find that I'm more repeatable shooting off the riser. I like a more narrow grip and I do like to get up into my grip a little bit more. For a sight, I am shooting a Excel AccuTouch or AccuStat Carbon Pro sight. It's a 5-pin sight. It's got the new AccuStat 2 head on it. I'm still a fan of a 5-pin sight, although for antelope hunting you probably could get away with shooting a single pin sight, especially if you're hunting out of a blind and you have a set distance to a water hole. You could just set your 1-pin slider to that exact distance, and that would be a great option for archery hunting. I still like, for spot and stock hunting, for calling out, for hunting mule deer, I still like a 5-pin sight, just because I have 5 reference points for aim. I'm a big fan of trying to take as much guesswork out of the process as I can. When that moment comes, I still get buck fever, and if I can take one step out of the process, I'll do that. If I don't have to move my sight, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use a 5-pin because then I don't have to think about it. I've got an aiming point for it. So that's why I use a 5-pin sight. I'm once again using a tight spot 5-arrow quiver. You can see one of my arrows in here. I don't have a broadhead on it right now, but I'll touch on that here in a second. So I'm using a gold tip platinum pierce 300 spine arrow. This year I have gone to a 4 fletch. So I'm shooting 4 AAE hybrid 2-3 vanes, fletched in a 4 vane configuration. One of the reasons I decided to do that, especially for this hunt, is that these are so low profile, so they're not nearly as high as a blazer vane. So in Wyoming, where you can get a lot of wind, especially in open antelope country, I tried to reduce the profile or the height of the vane to maybe be that much better in the wind. I'm also probably going to end up shooting this year for this hunt a expandable broadhead. So I just grabbed a packet out of the store. So this is a Rage hypodermic no collar. These are new within the last couple of years. The old Rages all used a collar, and you would blow that collar out as it opened up, and you'd have to get new collars. These ones do not have a collar. The thing I like about an expandable for antelope hunting is that you're sometimes shooting in the wind, so these are going to be a little bit better than something like a big fixed blade head where you've got full big blades. So those are going to catch more air. So an expandable head may be a little bit better in the wind. And then the other thing I like about them is just the wide cutting surface. So when you're hunting antelope, again, like I said, thin-skinned animals, I would like a large cut, so that big slap cut that you can get from an expandable head is a benefit. The other broadhead that I do use quite a bit, and I just grabbed a packet of these and I'll touch on them, is just the standard Slick Trick 4-blade. That's a fixed blade head, interlocking blades inside the ferrule. I've had really good luck with this little Slick Trick standard head, so I may take a packet of those just in case, but probably I'm gonna end up going with these Rage no cams. The last couple things I'm gonna touch on, I always have this with me, which is just a goHUNT bow sling, so bow slicker. You have a couple of neoprene protective covers at each end that go over your cams. You're gonna slip these up and over your limb pocket, which is nice. And basically I'll just have that on my bow to protect my string. The last thing I'm gonna touch on is my hunting releases, or basically my releases that I use all the time. I have a couple of releases that I've been shooting. I'll have one with me. I always keep it in my front pocket. I had a guy ask me the other day, have you ever set that down and lost it? I have set it down before and I have walked away from it 2 different times, maybe 20 feet. And he asked me, how did you realize that you were missing it? And for me, what I do is I take that release, I put it in my front pocket right here, and I put the peg down so it's facing into my thigh. And so if I can feel that kind of digging and pushing into my thigh, I know I've got that in my front pocket. And it's kind of just a funny little thing, but that's how I help myself not lose that release, is just with that peg down. But my 2 releases, I still shoot a hinge for everything, both for target, for practice, for hunting. This is a True Ball HT Pro. It's brass, so it's got a little bit of weight in your hand, which I like. It's a 4-finger model of this release, which I like. So this is a medium. You can see I don't have super, big hands, but I like the spacing that this provides. You can see I've got some inlays here. So this is just some adhesive-backed foam. I lay that on the inside of the release. It gives me a little bit of bite on that index finger, especially as I'm pulling the bow back. And then along the back of it, I just like the feel of it in my thumb over the brass. So that's my primary hunting release. I've been using that for a lot of years, and it's just a True Ball HT Pro. If you're looking to get into a hinge release, they no longer make this hinge. They have a new hybrid that's very similar, that has a brass insert that you can pick up, but it's pretty similar. All right, my backup release that I keep in my backpack in case I do walk off and leave my primary release. This is a True Ball Fulcrum Flex, which is a nice little release. It's real similar to the HT Pro, only it's got some additional adjustments that you can make to it if you want to. Both the angle of the 3rd finger or the 4th finger attachment that you can add. Also, you can move the head back and forth to kind of get a different feel. The one thing I do like about this release is it's got the full finger hole that you can run that through. So that's my 2020 antelope hunting gear list. It's hard to believe that archery antelope tag is going to start here in a month. I'm really excited to get out. This is a tag, like I said, that I've been wanting to do for several years. If you have any questions about my gear list, feel free to drop a comment below. I would love to hear what your gear list looks like. So if you have any additional items that you think have been particularly useful to you, or if you've changed something in your system, I'd love to hear about it. If it makes sense, I'd love to carry it in the gear shop. So once again, this is 2020 Archery Antelope gear list.